أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم والذين يجتنبون كبائر الإثم والفواحش وإذا ما غضبوا هم يغفرون والذين استجابوا لربهم وأقاموا الصلاة وأمرهم شورى بينهم ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين إذا أصابهم البغي هم ينتصرون صدق الله العظيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Allah the Sublime proclaims in the glorious Quran in Surah Shura, chapter 42, ayah verse number 38. وَالَّذِينَ اسْتَجَابُوا لِرَبِّهِمْ وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ صَدَقَ اللَّهُ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ. The translation of this verse is as follows: those who hearken to their Lord, those who are responsive to the guidance of their Lord and establish regular prayers, the 5 daily salawat, and who conduct their affairs by mutual consultation, by shura, and who spend in charity from that which we give them in sustenance, they are described as the true and conscientious believers. In this Quranic injunction, Allah the Sublime describes shura, or mutual consultation, alongside salah, prayer, and charity and sadaqah as being one of the fundamental and sublime characteristics which should adorn the behavior and the disposition of a conscientious believer. Beloved brothers and sisters, this coming Monday, the 1st of November 2021, South Africa will convene its 6th non-racial and democratic municipal elections. The majority of contemporary Muslim scholars, such as Professor Abdul Aziz Sachadina in his book, The Islamic Roots of Democratic Pluralism, they have cogently demonstrated that Islam and democracy are indeed compatible with one another. These Muslim scholars have pointed out that both the concept of shura and that of democracy arise from the central consideration that collective deliberation and mutual consultation is more likely to lead to a fair and a sound result for the social good rather than individual preference. Moreover, in post-apartheid South Africa, Muslims are recognized as equal citizens and partners in the shaping of our country's destiny. In light of the above, it is my considered view that as conscientious Muslims and as responsible South African citizens, we should participate in Monday's municipal elections and vote for a political party or an independent candidate of our own free choice. Beloved brothers and sisters, in addition to shura or mutual consultation, the teachings of Islam provide us with two further key ethical moral principles on how sound public policies should be applied and implemented for a healthy and productive society. These further key ethical moral principles are adl, justice, and hizbah, accountability. So in applying these three key Islamic ethical moral principles, that of shura, mutual consultation, adl, social justice, and hizbah, accountability, I would like to offer the following five specific guidelines when we are approaching and deciding about our vote in the municipal elections on Monday, the 1st of November 2021. The first of these ethical moral guidelines I would like to share with you is that there is no explicit textual evidence, a nas, from either the most primary source of Islamic guidance, the glorious Quran, or the secondary source, which is the ahadith, the prophetic traditions, that could be employed, that could be used to substantiate the view that Muslims should vote only for so-called Islamic parties or for any other political party or independent candidate for that matter. So there's no explicit Islamic evidence, and anyone who uses Islamic evidence to say you should vote for this party or that particular candidate is in fact in deep error. It is thus my considered view that Muslims should vote for a political party or an independent candidate of their own free choice. The second guideline I would like to share is that voting in the municipal elections that should guide us is that voters should study the histories of each party, the status and the integrity of the candidates, both their past as well as their present policies, as well as the promises that they make in their electoral manifestos. And in your personal estimate, after having studied these carefully, decide which of these manifestos best resonate with the Islamic value system and also advances the cause of the poor and the marginalized in our society. The third guideline that I would like to share that should inform your decision as to whom you should vote for in the municipal elections is that when a Muslim votes for a particular party, it does not necessarily mean that you should agree completely with every single aspect of its ideology or policies. You cannot have a political party that is 100%, that is, an idealistic world that doesn't exist. So in terms of your realism, your intention, Your niyyah should be that the candidate or the party should be a servant leader who will benefit the community and represents the best alternative among the various options. And in this regard, our fuqaha, the Muslim jurists, in fact, were very pragmatic in developing a qaida in our fiqh, a legal maxim, which they described as akhaffu dararain, the principle of realism, recognizing that we live in an imperfect world, and thus the legal maxim of choosing the lesser of the two evils. In other words, if the major part of the manifesto of a political party or a candidate is deemed non-objectionable in terms of Islamic ethics, then it is perfectly acceptable for Muslims to vote for such a party or a candidate, even if there are some aspects, a percentage of it, that you may not agree with. The fourth guideline I would like to share is that if any political party or independent candidate is found to be hostile to Islam or Muslims, it would not be in the best interest of Muslims to vote for such a political party or an independent candidate. If it is clearly proven that a party or an independent candidate is hostile to Islam or Muslims, then of course it would not be in the best interest of Muslims to support or vote for such a party. The fifth and last, but not least, guideline I would like to share is, given our apartheid legacy, Muslims should not vote for a political party or an independent candidate based on race lines, looking at the pigmentation of the skin of the candidate, or is this candidate representing one or other ethnic group, since anti-racism and non-racialism is one of the hallmarks of our faith. The most primary source of Islamic guidance, the glorious Quran, regards pigmentations or different colors of our skin as a sign of the existence of Allah. A sign of the existence of Allah that we have different colors of skin. So if we discriminate on the basis of this, we are in fact denying one of the ayat, one of the signs of Allah in this world. Discrimination against people on the basis of the color is tantamount to denying the existence of God. In this regard, in Surah Rum, chapter 30, ayah verse number 23, Allah, the Lord of compassionate justice, proclaims unequivocally, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافُ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَأَلْوَانِكُمْ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِلْعَالِمِينَ. The translation is as follows: and of the wondrous signs of Allah in this world, خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, is the creation of the heavens and the earth. واختلاف, and the اختلاف, في ألسنتكم وألوانكم, and in the اختلاف, in the differences in the languages that you speak, and the differences in the pigmentations and colors of your skin. And indeed, إن في ذلك لآيات للعالمين. Indeed, in this are messages for those who think and reflect. In conclusion, it is my considered view that the local municipal elections are as important, if not even more important, than the national elections, since they facilitate the process of taking democracy from the top down to the grassroots level. Moreover, for us as Muslims, democracy or shura should not merely mean casting one's vote periodically every 5 years, but more importantly, shura, or what I would say participatory democracy in Islam, demands the building of a consultative, a just and transparent institutions that will root out the endemic corruption and address the needs of the poor and the marginalized in our country. Beloved brothers and sisters, as many of you may know, I have for a very long time now argued that the only real guarantee for a healthy democracy is that we have strong, independent civil society organizations that can hold those in power accountable for their moral and political mandate. So in addition to urging you to vote in the municipal elections on Monday, the 1st of November 2021, I would also like to once again make a passionate plea to you to join and to strengthen local civic and residents associations. And most of all, to become registered and active and contributing members of your masajid and your masjid congregations. In this regard, I would like to take this opportunity to also remind the members of the Claremont Main Road Masjid congregation to make sure that they participate in the special general meeting taking place via Zoom on Sunday, the 31st of October at 10:30 a.m. to decide, inshallah, on the reopening of our masjid in the safest possible manner. Finally, we make dua and we supplicate that Allah should guide us as we cast our votes for the best candidates and parties on Monday that will not only serve their own selfish interests, but rather the interests of all of their fellow citizens, and leaders that will fight for the socio-economic justice of the poor and the marginalized citizens in our country. Most of all, we make dua and we pray that Allah the Sublime will guide our country to convene a peaceful municipal election free from violence and intimidation, and that it will result, inshallah, in the best possible outcome for all the citizens of our beloved country. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma ameen.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the dispenser of grace. Ya Rabbal Alameen, O Lord of the world and of everything that exists, we are grateful and thankful that you have blessed our country, South Africa, with rich human and natural resources. Ya Rabb al-Maghfirah, O Lord of forgiveness and mercy, we are deeply sorry and remorseful for the wrong use of all of your gifts and blessings through acts of injustice, corruption, violence, and looting. Ya Rabb al-Rahmah, O Lord of compassionate justice, at this difficult time, we make dua and we pray for those who have lost their lives and have been maimed as a result of the violence and looting. We pray and make dua for those whose property have been destroyed, vandalized, and unjustly looted and stolen. May God console all of them and grant them the inspiration and ability to rise up once again and to rebuild their shattered lives. Ya Rabb al-Mustad'afeen, O Lord of the oppressed and the marginalized, at this challenging time, we are mindful of the harm and the suffering that the violence and looting is inflicting on many people, most of all those who are hungry and lack the basic necessities to live a life of dignity and are unemployed and defenseless. Ya Rabb al-Shifa, O Lord of healing, help us to heal our souls from greed and avarice, from racism and xenophobia. Heal our nation from the scourge of violence and corruption, racism and tribalism. Ya Rabb al-Rizq wa Khayrul Raziqeen, O Lord of sustenance, one who is the best of providers, grant us the will and the capacity to use our country's resources for the well-being of all of its citizens. Ya Rabb al-Quwwa, O Lord of all power and awesome might, raise up for us just leaders who will respond to the violence, the looting and the corruption with wisdom and chivalry. And raise up for us selfless leaders who will lead our country to the ways of peace, prosperity and justice. And most of all, raise for us caring, active and responsible citizens who hold our elected leaders accountable for their political and moral mandates. Nas'aluka bi-asma'ika al-husna, and we ask this through all of your holy and beautiful names. Rabbun Nas wa Rabbul Alameen, Lord of all cultures and of all humankind. Allahumma Ameen.